The sun hung low over Maple Grove estates, casting a warm apricot hue across pristine lawns and rows of identical homes. It was April of 2025, and the air smelled faintly of blooming jasmine and freshly cut grass. The streets were silent save for the soft creak of a wheelchair's wheels as Mark Delaney pushed his 5-year-old daughter, Ava, down the sidewalk. Ava, petite and bright-eyed despite her condition, laughed as a butterfly danced past her shoulder. Her laughter was music to Mark's ears, a balm on the scarred memories of a life once full of pain. 2 years had passed since his wife, Elena, died in a car accident, leaving him to raise their daughter alone. Ava couldn't walk. A birth injury left her bound to a wheelchair, but her spirit soared higher than any able-bodied child Mark had ever known. She clutched her ragged stuffed rabbit, Taffy, in her lap like a knight holding a shield. At the park, Mark gently lifted Ava so she could touch the petals of a daffodil. Her joy lit up the space around her. But peace in Maple Grove was fragile. That evening, a letter sat on Mark's kitchen counter. It was stamped with the seal of the Homeowners Association. Your daughter's medical equipment violates community aesthetic standards. Remove the wheelchair ramp within 7 days. The letter was signed by Meredith Plaskett, the HOA president. Mark crumpled the paper. The ramp was essential. Ava's independence depended on it. He muttered under his breath and tossed the letter in the trash. He had dealt with terrorists, hackers, and drug lords in his FBI career. A petty suburban dictator wasn't going to shake him. But Meredith wasn't just petty. She was calculating. At the next HOA meeting, Meredith stood in front of neighbors and pointed directly at Mark. This neighborhood wasn't built for children like her, she said, smiling with venom behind her glossed lips. This is a place of prestige, not pity. Mark's fists clenched. Ava is my daughter. She's not your problem. But Meredith had already begun whispering her poison. Over coffee and yoga classes, she planted seeds. That Ava's ramp decreased property values. That her presence was a burden. Some neighbors nodded. Others looked away, unsure. Soon, smiles faded when Mark and Ava passed by. Once friendly neighbors closed their blinds. Children stopped waving. The weight of isolation grew. Mark noticed, and it hurt. But he shielded Ava with every ounce of strength he had. When she asked why the neighbors didn't say hi anymore, he just kissed her forehead and said, "Some people forget how to be kind." Then came the night that shattered everything. Mark got the call at 7:13 p.m. "We're moving on a trafficking cell tonight," his supervisor said. "Need you in 30. Mark kissed Ava goodnight, brushing hair from her forehead. "I'll be back soon, love bug," he whispered. She hugged Taffy close and drifted asleep. But while Mark hunted predators in a warehouse on the edge of town, one had already invaded his home. Meredith had made a call to a couple named Travis and Colleen Hart, pretending to be with child welfare. But they were traffickers, seasoned and cruel. In exchange for a cash donation to the HOA fund, Meredith handed Ava over like unwanted furniture. A gray van rolled up to the Delaney home just after lunch. Meredith met them at the curb. "She won't fight," she said coldly. "She's too sweet for that." Ava, clutching Taffy, blinked up at them. "Where's Daddy?" Colleen forced a smile. "We're taking you to see him." Ava was lifted into the van. Across the street, an elderly neighbor, Mrs. Jennings, saw it all. She stepped outside, phone in hand. "Is everything all right?" Meredith turned and hissed, "Go back inside." Mrs. Jennings, terrified, obeyed. By the time Mark returned home hours later, the house was too quiet. The ramp was gone. Ava's room was empty. Taffy's ear lay on the floor. A note sat on the counter. Meredith's handwriting looped elegantly across it. "She's somewhere better." Mark's world exploded. He called Ava's name over and over. He tore through the house, dialed every neighbor, contacted every emergency line. But Ava had vanished. Then the FBI agent in him took over. He tracked bank transfers, hacked Meredith's emails, and uncovered the payment she made to an offshore account tied to known traffickers. He raced to Meredith's house, pounding on her door. She opened it in a silk robe, sipping wine. "Where is she?" Mark roared. "You should thank me," Meredith said. "Your problem is gone." Mark shoved past her. In her trash, he found a receipt coordinates and a payment schedule. He called it in, grabbed his weapon, and followed the lead. It took him to a warehouse near the docks, the kind of place where no one asked questions. Inside, dim lights buzzed overhead. The air stank of mildew and despair. He heard a sob. Faint. Familiar. He followed it to a locked room. "Daddy." Ava's voice cracked through the silence. He kicked the door open. There she was curled on a stained mattress, her face streaked with tears, taffy ripped to shreds beside her. Travis stood guard, a knife in hand. Mark charged. The fight was feral. Blades, fists, blood. Colleen swung a bat. Mark caught it midair and turned it against her. He fought with the strength of every father who's ever feared the loss of their child. When it was over, they lay on the floor unconscious. Mark ran to Ava, lifted her in trembling arms. "You came," she whispered, her voice small. "Always," he said, kissing her hair. They emerged into the morning light, sirens closing in. Meredith was arrested within the hour. Her mask of civility cracked as officers presented bank statements, emails, and witness testimony. The neighborhood that once bowed to her now recoiled. Lawn signs disappeared overnight. Neighbors held vigils in shame. "Mrs." Jennings came forward, sobbing. "I saw them take her. I should have done something." Mark didn't care for their apologies. He cared only for Ava. He quit the bureau, turned in his badge the next day. At home, he rebuilt the ramp by hand, each plank a prayer. Ava sat beside him, new wheels on her chair and stitches on Taffy's ear. She watched him work, her smile small but real. The scars would never fully heal, but they were together. And in the quiet moments, when Mark held her close and whispered, "You're our miracle," the world felt right again. Love had not erased the darkness, but it had survived it.